So we are going to begin, everyone, all together. Any news from Natasha? Okay. We are going to begin by singing Matovu together, just that first line. And we're waiting for Natasha to arrive to lead us. But what we're going to do now, Matovu in the front of your book, you are transforming. Those of you at home, Shabbat Shalom at home, this is our Shabbat B'Yachad service, so a little more informal than usual. But we are transforming, whether you're in your kitchen, your living room, those of us here in our sanctuary, we even have a dog with us. We are going to turn our space into the synagogue community that we are. So stand up, get ready to add your instruments as we say the words of Balaam the prophet. How great are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkonotecha Yisrael. Play along. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkonotecha Yisrael. Right. The rule is of your instruments that when people are speaking, no instruments. In fact, we might need to put that one down, Sam. And when we play music, as much as possible. Now, our B'nai Mitzvah class have done some really cool learning this morning. I'm going to invite you up. We are all going to say together the blessing over Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So our busyness with Torah, sit down and let's invite Cordelia, Toby, George, Sam, is that right? Up, ready to share these readings. Off you go. Yeah? Your intro. So Cordelia and Sam, you're beginning. Explain what we're learning about today.
So we've been learning about individuality and how parents...
Go right close to the microphone.
We've been learning about individuality and how parents should basically respect their children's choices.
What does the Torah say about life and improving it for others? A mandate for helping in the world. When does tradition tell us this?
We've also been learning about how parents in the Torah actually favour the older child and how there's always a difference between the older and the younger child.
Great. George, you want to come forward? So we've been learning Torah, where Torah gives advice to parents and where it doesn't. And it might be nice, George, for you to say how we end up feeling about the book of Bereshit with all the dysfunctional families, and then you can read this.
Okay. Well, I feel that it's sort of weird to...
So we talked about how the book of Genesis, and we're going to see it today, is full of very dysfunctional families, of parents doing what we absolutely would not want our parents to do. And George made the suggestion that we read it as a deterrent or a reminder
of what not to do.
Of what not to do. Thank you. Do you want to read this piece from the book of Proverbs now?
Okay. Train a child according to their way. Even when they grow up, they will not turn away from it.
Thank you. Toby, you want to come forward?
We thus learnt here what our rabbis taught. The parent must teach them the Torah, take a partner for them, and teach them a craft. Some say to teach them to swim too.
Thank you. So you really captured for us our learning about what it means to be a child and parents together. Cordelia, do you want to read a bit of what we're going to hear about Jacob and Esau in a moment?
2 peoples are in your belly. 2 nations shall branch off from each other. 1 people shall prevail the other. The elder shall serve the younger. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter and a man of the outdoors, but Jacob was a homespun man, keeping to the tents.
Thank you. And we're going to hear more about Jacob and Esau. So Natasha's just come, having a terrible journey. Thank you, guys. If we go down, we're going to go straight into Lo Alecha Hamlacha Ligmor, but I'm going to tell you why. This weekend, this Shabbat has been earmarked in the Jewish community as Eco Shabbat, where we in synagogues consider our link and our commitment to the environment. There is a beautiful piece from the book of Deuteronomy that says, when you are in battle, you lay siege to a city, fighting against it to capture it. Do not destroy its trees, because you can eat the fruit of trees. Do not cut them down. Are trees people that you should fight against them? So thinking of our work as a community, we've now joined Eco Synagogue, of trying to think about how we can be better in our synagogue, how we can look after the environment, how we can care for our garden better, how we can recycle, how we can think better about the heating that we use and how we all arrive at synagogue. Let's think that we can't finish the task, as we can see when those are all those leaders meeting at COP26. We can't finish the task, but nor are we free to not even try. Top of page 6, Lo Alecha.
Lo Alecha Hamlecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Hamlecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Ligmor, V'lo ata ben hori lahibatel mimena, V'lo ata ben hori, V'lo ata ben hori lahibatel mimena, V'lo ata ben hori. Lo Alecha Hamlecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Hamlecha Ligmor, Lo Alecha Ligmor.
And as it's Shabbat, Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב לחדות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות
Baruch Shema v'haya ha'olam baruch hu, baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hamchulal b'fi amo meshubach umfa'al b'shon chasidav v'avadav, b'shvachot u'vizmarot nagadelcha v'namlichacha, malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim, baruch atah Adonai melech mechulal b'tishbachot. So let's go to Gesher Tzameod. I think, Sam, you've got music for that. Do they know they're doing
Great. Are you ready, Sam?
I need you to.
And Kol haolam kulo Gesher Sameod, Gesher Sameod, Gesher Sameod. Kol haolam kulo Gesher Sameod, Gesher Sameod. 2, 3, 4. V'hayika, v'hayika, lo lefarek, lo lefarek la. V'hayika, v'hayika, lo lefarek la. Lay, 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 all the world's a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. All the world's a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. 2, 3, 4. But the main thing to recall is to have no fear at all. But the main thing to recall is to have no fear at all. Lay, 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 lay,
Let's stand for the Baruch Hu. We're on page 10. And I think Elias and Maya are leading us in. Oh, good idea. You could use that microphone. Absolutely, absolutely. So I think Natasha's going to lead us into the Baruch Hu, and then if you could read the blessings before the Shema.
la
Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzei Hamorot.
Next one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
So this morning we thought we would sing the Debbie Friedman version of the Shema that allows us to sing in English the words of the Shema. So if you needed any reminding of what it is that we say, of all our B'nai Mitzvah kids learning so well to lead the Shema, here it is.
V'ahavta et Adonai Eloheinu.
So actually, yeah, read it in Hebrew first and then we will sing it in English. Perfect, Elias, thank you.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levacha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu ha'barim ha'ele, asher anochi etzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha divarta bam, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, v'velechtacha v'derech, v'shokbecha v'kumecha, v'kishartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotachot bein einecha, v'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, v'visharecha.
So listen out for the words of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you shall be on your heart, and you shall teach them to all your children, and you shall talk of them when you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, lying down and getting up, and you shall write them on the doors of your house and upon your gates, upon your gates. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad.
Such a treat to do that. I used to sing that version to my children every night at bedtime, so to hear it from you. So we're going to remind ourselves that all we have to do is to remember the words of the Shema. We're on the top of page 13. So we sing this, which tells us, remember these words of the Shema. Laman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kadoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Let's sit down and offer Micha Mocha, the song of the sea. that we say our ancestors Moses, Miriam, and all of them sang at the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא תהילו עושי פלא נורא תהילו עושי פלא.
We're going to, we say, as a way of preparing ourselves for the Amidah, let's stand. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. So let's go into the tefillah, our standing prayer, the prayer that was offered as an alternative to sacrifice at the temple. So instead of the huge scene of sacrificing countless goats and sheep, we now pray in synagogue. I'll leave it to you to decide which you'd rather have. But here we are for the standing prayer. We're on page 16, and Maya and Hannah will lead us. Just do that. And then, you remember. Okay, so we'll do Adonai Sabbatai first.
Adonai.
No, they'll sing. Ready, son? Yeah, read it while they're getting ready.
Adonai Sefatai Tifta Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Beautiful. Okay.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svaitai Tifta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svaitai Tifta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svaitai Tifta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svaitai Tifta. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Hasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Lefnei V'neihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני,
מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע.
Mashiv Haruach Umorid Hageshem, Mazriach Hashemesh Umorid Hatal, Baruch Atah Adonai Mechaye Hametim.
Tell everyone to go to the Kedusha.
Go to Kedusha.
So we move straight over to the Kedusha.
Nekadesh et Shimcha Ba'olam, Keshem Shemakdashim Oto B'Shmei Marom, Kakatuv Al Yad Nevi'echa.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sabaoth, Melech ha'aretz kevodo,
Kevodo Melei Olam.
Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo.
Yimloch Adonai Leolam Eloi Hai Zion Ledodado.
Hallelujah.
From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
This is fantastic. This is like Blue Peter. Here's a couple we made earlier of our young women who now teach at Ivrea and had their bat mitzvah. So students, look and learn. This will be you soon. We are going to sing for Shamru instead of Yismachu. Why? Because we get 2 bites at that. We'll sing for Shamru now and then we do it again for Kiddush. Let's sit down.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את עולם.
Say Adonai Eloheinu, Be'amcha Yisrael, Utifilatam, Be'ahava Tekabel, Utehi Leratzon Tamid Avodat Yisrael Amecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Sheotecha Levatecha, Be'yira Na'avot. Modim Anachnu Lach, She'atah hu Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'Elohei Avotenu Le'olam Va'ed. Tzur Hayenu, Magen Yishenu, Atah hu Ledovado. Nodeh Lecha Unesaper Tehilatecha. Ba'al Chayenu Hamezurim Be'yadecha. Ve'al Nishmotenu HaPekudot Lach. Ve'al Nisecha Shebechol Yom Imanu. Ve'al Nifleotecha Ve'tovotecha Shebechol Et. Erev Vavoker Ve'tzohorayim. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot.
So let's take a moment for our morning prayer for peace.
Sim Shalom. shalom tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed uvrachamim. Chen v'chesed uvrachamim. V'rachamim. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha.
Baruch atah Adonai oseh hashalom. There's a silent prayer.
That was a very welcoming introduction to it.
Oh, say shalom b'mumah, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru b'nei Adam. Oh, say shalom b'mumah, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei Adam. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
That was beautiful. So we're going now to the Torah service, and I really like that what we're doing with Shabbat B'Yachad is being braver and making it more informal and more accessible for you all. Now, underneath your seats, you will see... Toby, can you hold it up so that everyone knows what they're looking for? Yeah? So you're going to see a yes and no voting as we go into one of the best stories in Torah. We're going to see whether we like the behavior of the characters, both the parents and the children. So hold on to that. But we're going to go straight to the Torah service now. If I can ask our parents who are opening the ark, probably without Harley, to come up. Ki Mitzion, page 22.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Udva Adonai mirushalayim.
Let's have Lo Yisagoy.
Goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu od milchama. Lo yisal goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu od milchama.
Let's stand up. line to read. For this Shabbat, nation shall not lift up sword against nation. They shall never again know war. I have learnt recently that many environmental groups that work on the land call themselves plowshares, because rather than lift up your sword, you are creating plowshares to work on the land. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai Ti Onoramama Shemo Yachdav. So we're going to sing again, Lo Yisagoy, as the Torah gets undressed.
Lo Yisagoy El Goy Hereb, Lo Yimadu Od Milchama. Lo Yisagoy El Goy Hereb, Lo Yimadu Od Milchama. Lai 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 lai
Too. Okay, let's sit down. Those who want another peek inside Torah, come up and have a peek. Let's make sure, so everyone, so especially, I guess if you're in the B'nai B'nai class and you want to see where you'll be going. So, we are chapter 27. I'm sure Josie is sharing Torah with you on screen, but here we are bringing the Torah out into the congregation so that our young people can see it. So I am going to ask you to hold for me, just the end, the 8th scene. So the Torah scroll is bound, and I am going to call up Natasha for Torah blessing, I believe. So remind me.
Nechama, Moral, Sharon.
Ta'amod Hamora, Nechama bat Shmuel v'Sharon levarech et haTorah. So Natasha is one of our teachers coming to bless Torah. So let's move slightly to the side, you guys. So that, Natasha, if you're on that side, ready. Are we doing okay with the microphone, David? That would be close as possible. Okay, let's, me too.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
So just before we go into Torah, just a reminder of, a reminder of the story thus far. Abraham and Sarah have one son. Who is Abraham and Sarah's son? David's coming to help us. Who is Abraham and Sarah's son? Yes, Sam?
Abraham and Sarah's son,
So they only had one son together. Isaac. So now we're hearing about Isaac. Isaac is growing old, and we're hearing about Isaac and Isaac's children and Isaac's wife. Who is Isaac's wife? Just so we're ready to hear the names in the story. Who is Isaac's wife? My namesake, Rebecca. And who are the children we're about to hear about? Yes? Esau and Jacob, these twins that are pitted against each other in the Torah. Vayihi ki zaken Yitzchak v'tehechena enav merot vayikra et Esav bano hagadol vayome alav bani vayome elav hineni vayome hine na zakanti lo yadati yom moti va'ata sa na kelcha v'telecha v'keshtacha v'tsei hasadeh v'tsuda li tzayid v'asei li mat amim ka'asher ahavti v'hevea li v'ochla ba'avo tavarechacha nafshi b'terem amut. Now, this is what happens, that when you got old in the time of the Torah, you were responsible for offering a blessing to which child was the big blessing that you gave? Toby, the oldest child. So Esau, although they're twins, is the oldest twin. And this is what the Torah tells us. So in a moment, you're going to use your yes and no, but right now we're going to hear the story. And so it was that Isaac grew old, and his eyes grew dim from seeing, meaning that he could no longer see very well. And he called out to Esau, his oldest, his biggest son. And he said to him, "My son," and he answered, "Here I am." And he said, "Behold, I have grown old, and I don't know the day of my death," meaning it could be close. Therefore, he says to him, "Now I want you to go out to take your weapon and your bow and your arrows and go out into the field and hunt some venison for me and make it into a delicious meal just like I really love, and bring it to me and I will eat it. And therefore, after I've eaten it, my soul will bless you before I die." This is very clear instructions. Hands up, who is the eldest child in their family? Okay, so all of us can empathize with Esau at that moment. But we're going to hear the story gets thwarted. Pay attention, because I'm really wanting to hear what you think about this story. V'Rivka shomat b'divar Yitzchak El Esav bano v'yelech Esav hasadeh latzud Said lahavi v'Rivka amra El Yaakov bana לאמור, הנה שמעתי את אביך מדבר אל עשיו אחיך לאמור, הביאה לי ציד ועשה לי מטעמים ואוכלה ואברכך לפני אדוני לפני מותי, ואתה בני שמע בקולי לאשר אני מצווה אותך לך. נא אל הצאן וקח לי משם 2 גידי עזים טובים ועשה אותם מטעמים לאביך כאשר אהב והבאת לאביך ואכל בעבור אשר יברכך לפני מותו. ויאמר יעקב אל רבקה אמו, הן עשיו אחי איש שאה ואנוכי איש חלק, אולי ישמעני אבי, והייתי בעיניו כמית אתה, והבאתי אלי קללה ולא ברכה. ותאמר לו אמו, אלי קללתך בני, אך שמע בקולי, ולך קח לי, וילך ויקח ויבוא לאמו, ותעש אמו מטעמים כאשר אהב אביו. ותיקח רבקה את בגדי עשיו בנה הגדול, והמידתה אשר אתה בבית. So I'm going to go back to tell you what is about to happen now. So Rivka has listened to everything that Isaac has said to Esau, her son, and Esau goes, as he's told, he's a good boy, he goes straight into the field to hunt venison to bring back. And Rebecca says to her son Isaac, look how we're hearing that sometimes we hear his son when it's talking about Isaac, talking about Esau, and here Rebecca speaks to her son, and she says, behold, I have just heard your father speaking to Esau, your brother. Look how the Torah reminds us of the family relations, saying, bring to me venison. And so I've just heard her say to Isaac, to Esau, and telling him to bring venison. So therefore, and go and make me a delicious meal so that I can eat it and I can bless you in front of God before I die. Now, my son, she says to Jacob. So now I want you to really start thinking whether this is good behavior for a mother with two sons. Now, my son, she says, I want you to listen to my voice and all that I tell you to do, all that I command you to do. I want you to now go to the flock of goats that we have in our farm, take from them 2 young goats, 2 young good male goats, and I will make them into a delicious meal for your father, just as he loves. And you will take it into your father, and he will eat it, and after he's eaten it, he will bless you before he dies. Okay, hold up your signs. Pick up your signs. Those of you around the Torah, get your signs ready. You can bring it back to look in the Torah and hold your sign. All right. What do we think of Rebecca's behavior as a mother right now? Do we think she is behaving as a good mother? Whatever way you want me to see, hold up your sign. Oh yeah, Trish is saying no. Trish has also got 2 boys, right? So you're empathizing with Rebecca, but not in that way. So no. George, you've said yes? Yeah. Why? What could Rebecca be doing that is right here?
I don't know, because that was the sort of tradition for the time.
You mean to protect the younger child? Maybe. Okay, so George is saying maybe she's trying to protect the younger child. Sam?
I think it is good because she's trying to make the 2 children equal.
Okay, so she's challenging tradition, that it shouldn't just be the older child. Cordelia?
When Jacob does get this blessing,
Right, so if Jacob gets the blessing, they're no longer equal. Thank you, Cordelia. What about Esau running straight off with his weapons and his bow and arrow to hunt the venison? Good behavior? He's doing what he's been asked to. So let's see whether you all like doing what you're asked to do by your parents. Toby, why is there a no there? Okay, there's a yes now. Okay, yes. We think so far. Yeah? So far, so good. What about Isaac asking Esau? No mention to Jacob. Do we think Isaac is doing the right thing? No. George, Itan, tell me why.
I think no, because kind of selfish.
Okay, why is he being selfish? Why is Isaac being selfish?
It's like kind of tradition to give it to the older son,
Uh-huh.
but but it's also his favourite son. You treat him equally.
Right, so it's really coincidental that Isaac really wants to follow the rule of blessing the older son when we're already told that Isaac loves him. Why? Because he loves the taste of game in his mouth. Sam?
I say no. I say that he isn't behaving well because he doesn't even think about the fact that if his father blesses him, he's been abandoning his younger brother.
Right.
And it also seems like...
Okay. Is the Torah encouraging competition? Is this family encouraging competition between these two boys? Let me see. Who thinks this Torah portion encourages competition? Yes, I think so too. So here is what Jacob says back to his mother. So his mother said, I want you to get in there and get a blessing before your father dies. And Jacob says to Rivkah, his mother, the problem is that my brother Esau is a very hairy man and I am a very smooth man. So what does she say? And what does he go on to say? So maybe my father will see me as being deceitful and I will end up with a blessing rather than a curse. And his mother, Rebecca, says to him, don't you worry, the curse will be, your curse will be on me, my son. Just listen to my voice. And now I want you to go and to get for me exactly what I've told you to do with the 2 goats. And then we hear that she goes out and she gets for herself and she brings back, and she asks to bring back to your mother exactly what I've asked. And then what does she do in order to make the delicious meal just that your father has asked? And then Rebecca gets up and goes out and finds Esau's clothes. Esau's clothes that she finds, Esau, her older son, and she finds his clothes that she has, and she's going to make Jacob, her younger son, wear Esau's clothes. And then she says also to get orot gadei ha'izim, she gets the skin of goats, and she says that she's going to put it on the hands of, on the smooth hands, al halkat zoav, on Jacob's smooth hands and on the smooth part of his neck. And then she will give him the delicious meal that he should, delicious meal of meat that she should take in to Isaac, so that he can pretend to be, who's he pretending to be? Esau. Thank you, Natasha. So just before Natasha does the blessing, do we think by Jacob going along with it, covering himself with Esau's clothes and the skin of a goat, what do we think of his behavior? Would you do the same? Would you do the same? Let's see. Let me see. Yes or no? Jane, what would you say? Have you got one? Would you do the same? No. Jane's saying no. And would you, as Rebecca, literally find ways for your other son to disguise himself? Would you do that? No. What do you think? Do you think when Rebecca says, I will take the curse, if you get cursed for this deceit, I will take it, was that a good thing for her to do as a mother? Maya, let's see your yes. So some of you think yes, she's still trying to protect. Do you think Esau and Jacob are loved equally? Okay, so Toby's saying yes, that they're loved equally. Yes, they're loved equally. One parent loves them both. Do we learn from this story how to run our families? Let's see. Do we learn from this story? No. So some of you are saying we learn how not to be. Some of you are saying we do learn. Toby? We learn how not to do it. And why do we think, we asked the B'nai Mitzvah group this morning, why do we have these stories of such weak individuals in our Torah? What is the message the Torah is giving? Sam?
To show that nothing is perfect or pure and everything has its flaws.
So actually, we as Jews, by reading a story of flawed individuals every week, we are shown that nothing is perfect. We are aiming to be good enough. Thank you. Natasha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam netav b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
Yeah. So while the Torah is out, before we raise the Torah, I'm going to ask Jeremy to come forward to raise the Torah. Jeremy might be hoping to have a talit. John, do you want to see if there's a talit? It's very strong left hand at the moment. Let us stand as we offer a blessing for those who are unwell in our congregation and beyond. I'm thinking very much of Monty this morning, who has had a difficult week. Are there others that we want to remember and pray for today of those who are unwell? So let us offer a Misha Baruch, all those in our congregation who are vulnerable and fragile at this time, those who care for them and love them. May they receive strength, love, and comfort.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Beirach imotenu Makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of the body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So very much think this Shabbat of all those who are struggling physically or emotionally with hard tasks ahead. Thinking of you very much, Anna, and of the Eisen family, and stone setting tomorrow, and the need for emotional strength for this weekend. So let's stand, those of us who are able to, who it's easy, as we stand for raising the Torah.
It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom.
feel free to sit or stand, whatever is your choice, as we go into our community blessings. And the sense that Torah is with us all the time, and that we are obligated to wrestle with it, to understand its words, to make it meaningful for us. Hannah, I think have we still got Hannah E with us, or maybe she's helping now. So let's go into our community blessings. We're on page 27. Stand if you are able. I should tell you that the prayer for the royal family was the first prayer in this country that was written in English and was offered in synagogues in English. It was the only moment in Orthodox synagogues where we had a tiny bit of English and of comprehension. And now, of course, we offer this prayer for our government, for those that lead us, for those who've been watching COP26 in Glasgow, and not just our leaders, but the world leaders come together for a conversation. And we hope it isn't a conversation. I noticed Greta Thunberg yesterday talked of there has been a lot of blah, blah, blah at the COP26 conversations. Some of you know Ruben, my oldest son, is at Glasgow University and showed me and videoed the march that all the students went on. That sense of moving beyond speech to really hoping for wisdom and guidance for each one of us in our lives of what we could do to make things better and to think about the next generation. We're on the bottom of page 27. Think of that as we add these traditional words for us. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, all the royal family, for those who govern and guide our country, and all who influence the quality of our national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility. Teach them to exercise it with accordance with your will, so that all of us may help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. And let us say, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless this holy community with all holy communities. May the Holy One grant blessing and success in all the work of their hands, with all Israel and all people. And let us say, Amen. And then let's offer this prayer for the state of Israel, for our hope that it continues to struggle and try to be the place it can be. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders, ministers, and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and lasting joy to all its inhabitants. May all who dwell there work towards the prophetic ideals that guided the establishment of this country, a vision of liberty, justice, and peace. And may all its inhabitants live in harmony with one another and peace with their neighbors. Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Let there be peace within your walls, safety within your borders. For the sake of my people, my friends, I say, let there be peace within you, and let us say, Amen. Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki nizgav shemo lavado. Hodu al eretz v'shamayim v'yarem keren le'amo tehila l'chol hasidai livnei Yisrael am karovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So we are told in the book of Proverbs, Ki lecha tov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu. So this Torah is a good thing, a good doctrine. Do not forget about it. Do not step away from it. And above our ark are the words for Eitz Chaim, tree of life, that we're going to sing again. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba. So Eitz is a tree. It is a tree of life to those who hold on to it. And that is what we do every week, every generation, every month, every year, to try to hold on to Torah and what it can mean for us.
It is a tree of life for those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life for those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
So let's stay up as we go. Are we going to Ein Od, Natasha? Or are we reading? So Zoe, I think, is reading for us, and then all that has divided us will merge. So we're on page 34 as we offer a slightly alternative Aleinu that our young people offer every Shabbat.
And then all that has divided us will merge. And then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will equally share in the earth's abundance. And then we will all care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך אל כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד Ushamo Ehad. So let's go to Kaddish, of thinking those in our community who are recalling their loved ones. We think particularly this Shabbat of Dennis Angel, father of Paul Angel, of Peter Bernstone, father of Kathy Bernstone, of Philip Colby, father of Richard Colby, of Louis Lieberman, father of Jeffrey Lieberman, of Giuseppe Navarro, uncle of Renzo Fantoni, and of Ivor Zeitman, husband of Anne Zeitman. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may those who recall and remember their loved ones be comforted in their loss. As we say the words of the Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, Bi'amad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayachon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dochol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam amel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithada v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudusha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbahata v'nechemata,
Da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya. V'hayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol b'nei adam. V'imru amen. Let's sit down. So I don't think we have someone offering announcements today in the building. So I think I'm just, the only thing I really want to draw your attention to is Thursday is Kristallnacht, the anniversary of Kristallnacht, the night of shattered glass, which allows us a moment of recognition and remembering of the beginning of the devastation of the Holocaust. And in Beit Midrash, we have a wonderful speaker coming to talk about those early days and the story of his mother. And I really encourage you to come. That is Thursday evening at 7:30 on Zoom. The link is in the weekly email. And it's a really important, I think an important moment in our calendar to be able to honor and to learn about. Delving into Judaism continues Wednesday evening as we look at holiness within congregations. We have Hebrew class on Wednesday lunchtime at 1 o'clock. We are still open for those who are considering an adult bar or bat mitzvah. Next year, 2022, we have a date for the beginning of June, and we'd be really, the class is forming at the moment, and our first gathering will be on the 18th of November. So bear it in mind, talk about it at home if you know someone that might be interested in having an adult bar or bat mitzvah. Sorry? And there is an LJY sleepover next weekend. So Saturday afternoon at Havdalah, right here in our synagogue, for members of our own synagogue, but others too. I think it's age group up to 3 to 6. Yeah, so primary school aged. So sorry, Shira, you've just missed it, I can see. But we'd really like for our host synagogue to have a good sense here, and you know the synagogue really well. You know to bag the comfy place of sleeping on the bima. Huge thank you this morning to Natasha for singing and leading us, for David on the tech desk, for all those welcoming and on security, and Josie and Valerie at home enabling Zoom. So let us finish with Adon Olam as Kiddush is being passed out to you. We finish with Adon Olam. You can find Adon Olam on page 37. Next week is the bar mitzvah of Aaron, who is now in the Kabbalat Torah group, but we are really looking forward to celebrating with him next week.
Adon Olam, Hashem Elam, B'terem Chol, Yizin Yibam, Yenezah, L'chem Zachol, Ezai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yacharei Klivot HaKol, Lavado Yimloch Nira Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yeh B'tifera Adon Olam, Adon Olam. Hashem Elam, B'terem Chol.
Shalom, everyone. A blessing for us all in all that we do this coming week. Baruch atah b'voecha u'baruch atah b'tzetecha. Blessed may you be when you come in, and blessed may you be when you go out. Let's go into Vashamru as soon as you have. And we're going to sing. We're going to sing the way you did. Ready? Hold up your wine. Make sure that you got grape juice and not wine if you are under the age of 21. Okay, are we ready? Vashamru.
Vashamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות המורית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית עולם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Now I seem not to have a big whole challah. So then let's all of us say Hamotzi together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Sam, for your music. I'm looking forward to more next month. Parents, put this in your diary. Parents of B'nai Mitzvah kids, we need you for the family learning. The deal is that if they're